Well, what's up, baby? Andrew Cooper here. Welcome on in to Alarm Fantasy Football. And folks, once again, Howard Bender and John and Pemba, they're off doing like round ball stuff, baseball, basketball. We're here holding down the ship ourselves. So what I did is I'm bringing in my friends, and we're going to talk about whatever we want to talk about. This week, I have the legendary, the fun Chuck Bass, kind of he kind of dominates the fantasy football expo. I think that's where he performs best. Also, one of I would say, my opinion, top 3 accounts that make me chuckle on Twitter. It's like you, Jordan Loop, Ian Harditz. Those are kind of my gang. So without further ado, Chuck, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, man. What a just legendary company to be in. Happy to be on the show. Making you chuckle. That's just got so many meanings, and it just hits home so hard. And it's what I'm trying to do, man. In February, what else are we going to do? I'm not talking baseball. I'm not talking basketball. I'm here for memes.
That's right. Memes, that really is the economy of fantasy Twitter, if you ask me.
It is.
Yeah. So on this show, what we've been doing, here's the deal. We hit some news and notes early. In the second part, we go through and I just pick your brain on process. We've had some great thinkers like yourself on. We had Jacob Sanderson, Jax Falcone, Dave Kluge. You're just trying to figure out how they get advantages. Then we'll look at some players. If there's time after, we'll maybe look at a mock draft. But this is the last one we're going to do where we're looking at current players. After this, we're going to get into prospects. I got some. Yeah. Those are the deep cuts. I got to dig in myself. Yeah. We're having Dustin Ludke on. He's going to have boots on the ground at the combine, and then Derek Brown, D-Bro. So
it's going to be huge, Jim.
It's gonna be big. I see you guys are Tony Romo going. Are you would you say you're more of like a Sunday football Tony Romo, or more like an arts and craftsy Tony Romo?
Oh God, what an amazing question. Good analysis, Jim. Sunday football Tony Romo. I hated him while he played and loved him when he started announcing. And now I loved him I miss him when he played, and I hate him announcing. I don't know how it happened. It just flipped.
It's come full circle, man. I actually ran into him last year at the at Patriots Place, and he was having a good time with Robert Kraft, and they actually lost Jim Nantz. That's how I found them. I heard somebody going, "Where the hell's Jim?" And I look over and I was like, I was with Dario, who is doing, for Player Profile, doing his whole tour, and I was like, dude, I think that's Tony Romo. And we went over, good guy.
But 2 or 3 more name drops.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I got. Actually, there was another one that Tracy Wilson was there too. So that's another.
Oh, smooth. Very smooth.
She was actually very excited that we recognized her, because she was kind of with a lot of, she's famous, right? But Bob Kraft is actually, Tony Romo, very, very famous.
Doing it right.
Yeah. Anyway, what's up, chat? See you guys hanging out. There's Dustin right there. So yeah, can't wait to have a good guest on. He'll be our guest next week.
Dustin riding coattails per usual.
That's right, dude. Coming in. You're setting him up so he can knock him down. Mile High, I see your question in there. We're going to hit on some questions for sure. What I want to do first, we're just going to hit on some quick news. All right. So got to get this out of the way. First and foremost, obviously the biggest news of the week, legendary special teams player Matthew Slater announcing his retirement, 16 years. Hall of Famer, Chuck. What do you think? I mean, just look behind me first before you answer this question. Okay, go ahead.
This one's always been really funny to me because Matthew Slater is like, the Patriots having him was like the first kid in the group who got a girlfriend, and you're just not used to the dynamic, and you're like, what do they even go do when they're off by themselves? Like, we're just the boys hanging out. Like, no other fan base has any idea what this is possibly like, and his highlight reels are longer than most NFL players in the league right now. It's crazy times.
And the thing is, making massive impactful plays too. But the thing is, if you were to really stack up the number of game changing plays, like think about like a guy like Chris Johnson, and he would break off like an 80-yard touchdown, right? That's a huge game changing play. But you know what else is an equally game changing play? Blocking a punt.
Yes.
Right. Fielding a punt at the 2-yard line basically kills that drive. The success rate of drives from the 1 or 2 is like nothing. So I don't know. The thing is, the funny part is there's actually a log jam for these type of guys because the Bills had a guy, Steve Tasker. Have you heard of Steve Tasker?
No, the name, yeah.
He was basically Matthew Slater before Slater. And I've actually been on Twitter kind of petitioning for Slater to get in, for Tasker to get in over the last couple of years, because I knew that if he gets in, now Slater can get in. So
yeah, somebody's got to walk so everyone else can run.
He's got to get in first, right? He's got like Ray Guy at punter had to get in, and now punters can get in, right? It's like we need Steve Tasker and the Bill. So people, if you want Slater in, Tasker's got to go first.
Are you all built for that much change in such a short amount of time? You lose Tom, you lose Bill, you lose Slater. Who's next? Gillette Labs?
It's pretty. The lighthouse is coming down, dude. It is. It is crazy, bro. It's getting crazy. So we'll have to see, man. I'm such a homer though. Like whoever they take at 3, I'll be like, yep, that's the right pick. Exactly
Joe
correct.
Alt, let's go.
My dad's on the Joe Alt wagon. So here we go. Yeah. Okay. 49ers part ways with Steve Wilkes. I mean, that's to us in fantasy land. It is what it is. Like, Jimmy G suspended. And this is interesting because that voided the guaranteed money in his contract, and now they were going to part ways with him anyway, but like now it makes they basically just already released him. So, do you think a team takes a stab on Jimmy G? I mean, the fact that he can't play the first 2 games no matter what really puts him in the hole.
Yeah, I mean, just all you hear about him is praise from everybody except people who play fantasy football. Everybody else loves him for one reason or another. Maybe fans of the teams themselves aren't, always overly enthusiastic, but this is kind of what we thought was going to happen when they benched him. They benched him last year. A lot of people who know what's going on were saying that this was to avoid injury clauses kicking in, so they wouldn't have to pay him. And then this happens. Who knows? Maybe it's some flat earth stuff. They're sneaking some stuff into his juice. I don't know.
Yeah, right. The old void contracts juice sneak. I mean, one of the oldest tricks in the book, dude. I mean, if you're going to do it, Vegas, I mean, easy enough. But yeah, like for one narrative I've been throwing around is like, and I actually had Jimmy G on the list for this, was Daniel Jones is hurt. And I'm like, okay, why don't they bring in another replacement level guy to compete? Yeah. And now you can see if Daniel Jones is the guy. But if Daniel Jones is going to be hurt and miss the first 2 games, and Jimmy G is going to miss the first 2 games, he completely is off the table for that. So
yeah, really, that team, that's a good. I really like that because that team needs a control element that you can compare all the other things to, so that they have like a baseline scale.
You bring in Minshew, right?
Yeah,
you bring in Minshew, and if Daniel Jones and Minshew neither separate themselves, then you go great. Both these guys they stink, right? Like if Daniel Jones is way better than Minshew, then you learn something, So
turn the page.
Yeah. So last one for actual news, and then we'll get into some rumors, which are more fun in my opinion. CJ Stroud's agency, they've come out and said that they're going to have all their prospects skip all the cognitive tests moving forward, which, to put that into perspective for people that don't know, there's a couple of them. Wonderlic is the most famous, but there's another one called the S2 cognitive test, which like apparently it's some like video game that like tests how quick you react to stuff. They use it for baseball too, but CJ Stroud did really poorly on that. And, who's to say whether it affects whether he went 1 or 2, but it turns out that doesn't matter because CJ Stroud is awesome. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on this? Should we give any credence to this, or should everybody just skip it?
I don't like the idea of there being challenges that people are not afraid to step up to. I mean, all the stuff that went on with CJ Stroud for one joke or another, like they wanted their friction in Carolina came because they did want to take him at 1. So clearly they thought differently. They had a football guy feel for what this guy could do. And a lot of these tests, they've just been a talking point. They've never really been a driving factor for what we think of these candidates. It's really just, now that the meme culture has taken hold in front and the rent is due is coming up, you got to pop these Wonderlic tests up.
Yeah. Well, so I'll tell you this. I do love what you said there about guys wanting to compete, because I watched Bijan go out. Bijan didn't have to do a damn thing and he would have been the RB1, but he went out and he crushed all the drills to the point where I was watching the combine in Florida at a bar with my mom on mute. And we were watching it, kind of talking or whatever. And she looks up and looks at me and she goes, wow, this guy is better than everybody else. And I was like, you know that? I was like, you know who that is? And she goes, no. I was like, that is Bijan. That's Bijan Robinson. He is better than everybody else. Like my mom could see it, So
it's
like,
never going away.
Yeah.
And where were you guys at? Margaritaville? Where were you at?
We were in Naples somewhere, some like divey joint, dude. It was nice. It was perfect. Perfect for what we were doing. We actually watched a second part of the combo at this place called Seed to Table, which is a grocery store that has a full, like multiple bars in it and live music. It's the best grocery store I've ever been to.
Florida needs that good advertisement right now.
Dude, the guy sitting next to us, he goes, watch, we were talking or whatever. He goes, watch this, right? He goes down to the next floor down, and we watch him. He walks over to the steak area, picks out a T-bone steak, comes back, not a T-bone steak, a tomahawk steak, comes back up, and he goes, just wait a few minutes. And they cook it there and deliver it to the table where he's sitting there watching the combine. I was like, that was the craziest, coolest thing I've ever seen.
Gotta get the health score for that place. I want to see it in the window ASAP.
Dude, the place is amazing, bro. You gotta check this out. If you're the coolest grocery store I've ever been in. And they got Publix. They're already like the mecca for grocery stores, but this one's on another level.
Yeah.
I like to see the guys compete. With Jay Cutler, quarterbacks don't even do the bench press, and Jay Cutler was like, I'm gonna do it. So
I would rather them do it and then be like, this doesn't matter to me, but there's nothing I'm gonna say no to because I trust who I am and what I can do, and they're getting good advice, all that stuff.
Exactly. And someone also said that Bryce Young had actually done the test multiple times before in the past. I guess at Alabama they do it. So now I'm like, I don't know. But let's get on some rumors, dude. Rumors.
Please.
Yes. Justin Fields. All right, here we go. Has unfollowed the Bears on Instagram. Chuck, as a social media, as a perpetually and terminally online social media person yourself, how much does it matter that he unfollowed the Bears on Instagram?
Let me ask you this. Let's put this in hypothetical terms. Let's say that Fantasy Alarm was eyeing me as a new NFL analyst. Would you unfollow everybody that works for Fantasy Alarm?
You know what? I don't know. Maybe. I think so. I think if there were rumors that I was getting traded to I don't even want to give place, but if I was getting traded, I might, dude. I'm like, I don't know. I'm pretty loyal with Fantasy Alarm, dude. Shout out.
It's just, I think this just happens too much for it to move the needle for me. I get the branding in there if I try to do.
Got him.
It's just, this is classic. We could have these jokes were being made in December. Right. So it's just really hard to put a finger on it.
Yeah. Now, the top rumored destination, and not only rumored, but you go to DraftKings, they have odds for next team, right? The team with the number one odds for Justin Fields was the Pittsburgh Steelers. And last I checked, it still was. Yet the Steelers came out and said, well, we don't need Justin Fields because we have Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph.
That's just where they're sitting around like the impractical jokers, like, all right, say this. But they lose all leverage, and it does no good for them to come out and say, we're going to be in the free agent veteran market publicly. They can do that stuff behind closed deals. But if they've made it aware, it sours the players, sours the agents, and it really, sure, the fans get happy, but as far as their ability to actually make a significant move contract-wise, it just makes it harder.
Right, and it's smart on their part because now the other teams look and they say, hey, Steelers are out, so whatever they were offering, we'll move it down,
And who last year during the season, everybody was saying, okay, we can see where this is going, right? We want Caleb Williams is probably coming to Chicago. Where do we want to see Justin Fields go? They wanted to see him go to Atlanta under Arthur Smith and do the things that Desmond Ridder wasn't capable of doing.
Right.
You know where I'm going with that. I mean, that's just a match
right
in heaven in Pittsburgh.
It's right there, man. I mean, so Pittsburgh, I like. Atlanta, even without Arthur Smith there, I like the weapons. Yep. It would hurt for the weapons, though. As a fan of Drake London and Pitts and Bijan, I don't want Fields as much as I would want Cousins or, and I guess same to some degree for Devontae Adams. We got in the chat, our guy getting the game, Tommy Roush, saying Fields is a Raider soon.
Oh, dude, that's what I like to hear. I got, for some of these, I have dream spots and actual spots. Actual spot, I had Raiders, even though my dream spot was the Steelers. I just feel like he might fit into that run the ball and then bomb it deep kind of mentality that they're going for. They're trying to build it around, tough dudes. And Justin Fields is a tough dude.
Right. Terrell Pryor, he could be the next Terrell Pryor for the Raiders. I think he had a 97-yard touchdown run or something like that for the Raiders. I think that's still the longest run by a quarterback in the NFL.
Is he going to get that wide receiver designation on sleeper then also? Because Terrell Pryor got me through a couple tough seasons there.
1,000-yard season for the Browns. I mean, what a freakazoid, right? Shout out Terrell Pryor, man. So I mean, it will be interesting, man. Speaking of the quarterbacks, Vikings also, I'm hearing now the rumors for him have been kind of boiled down to they would like him back, but last time they gave him a 1-year deal that was fully guaranteed, and he wants that again. And they're kind of balking at the guaranteed. I mean, he just tore his Achilles at 37?
Yeah. I think it's 30, 35, 36, something like that. Am I wrong?
I mean, we're sitting at computers, so why don't we just check?
We have the technology.
Yeah, 35. You're right. So he's not 37, 35. So Achilles could be fine. Rodgers is coming back from one, but I don't know. Guaranteed money. Would anyone give him guaranteed money?
It's funky because it seems to be the only thing he's interested in is the headline reads that Kirk Cousins got X amount of guaranteed dollars. I'm not even sure exactly how much the total value of the contract matters to him, as long as he continues to be that quarterback who's like every deal he got was guaranteed X amount. It's just seems to be
Right.
the most important
It
factor in a lot
is
of these things for
it
him.
is funny. It's especially funny when you go back and find there was this like conference he did, a speech he did where he was just
Mhm.
like, he's like, I'll just take my deals as they come. I just
Mhm.
need enough mana, enough mana to get me from one day to the next, right? And then it's like the deal he signed was like a gazillion dollars.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I mean, the whole enough mana to get through me through the day thing goes out the window when you've already made,
Yeah.
hundreds of millions of dollars,
Yeah.
like generational wealth. Yeah.
He's sitting in a very powerful spot. I have my dream spot for him is going back to Washington. I know that doesn't make anybody happy but myself, but Snyder gone, Kirk coming back. They need a quarterback. They have good infrastructure weapons wise. I thought that would be a fun little, turn the page.
It makes me incredibly happy. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? It doesn't make anybody happy. You know why it makes me happy?
Mm.
Because the
Tell
Patriots
people.
Patriots pick at 3.
Get your
So
guy.
yeah. Definitely cut whoever, right?
Yeah.
The Commanders should find any veteran to start for them. I don't care if he's played for them or not.
Mhm.
So yeah, last rumor, and then we'll get into some little dynasty chatter here.
Mhm.
Bills. Not only did they have Stephon Diggs trade rumors to the point where
Mhm.
DraftKings is offering odds on his next team, which
Mhm.
are all ridiculous landing spots, and he's
Sure.
definitely going to probably be with the Bills. But yeah, one of the top ones is the Chiefs because the Bills are
Mm.
going to trade their top wide receiver to the Chiefs.
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
yeah,
That's
exactly.
exhausting.
Yeah. Then Gabe Davis also, speaking of exhausting, just did like an 8-minute video where
Yeah.
he thanked the Bills and then also ran down his stats at the end, just for anybody
Mhm.
out there, kind of
I
doing
respect
one of
that.
those. Yeah. So I don't know. First, Gabe Stephon Diggs. Let's say hypothetically he's not a Bill. What
Mhm.
would be a good spot for a guy like that?
For
Besides
Diggs,
every team.
for Stephon Diggs, yeah, besides every team, seriously. It's we're gonna wake up and it's gonna be like Chiefs acquire Bills wide receiver and everyone's gonna go nuts. And it is gonna be Gabe
Gabe
Davis. And
Davis.
they're
Yeah.
just gonna take all these guys because they can be the island of misfit toys, and they can win either way.
Right.
But as far as like Diggs, right? I think maybe he just continues to be that acquisition for a team that's looking to take its quarterback play from one spot to the next. So I mean, does he stay in the NFC and does he go somewhere like a Detroit? Detroit is on the
Ooh.
cusp, and they have a bunch of good players. They're limited on great players. I think that would be a really fun. Let's take things to the next
Huge.
level.
They need a split, dude. You put a split end on that team because that's what they're missing, right? They have the slot flanker
Mhm.
in Amon-Ra St. Brown, but he's not big enough to line up,
Yeah.
tethered to the line with his foot in the
Mhm.
ground and fight the jam, right? But then you have Jamison Williams who can stretch the field.
Mhm.
You got Sam Laporta. You got Gibbs and Monty. You have a
Yeah.
great offensive line, assuming that Frank Ragnow's toe is going to hold up. And you come in with a big split end, whether it's a Diggs, it's a Mike
Mhm.
Evans, something like that, man. I mean,
Ooh,
Trey Bone. You can't allow it. You can't allow it to
that's
happen.
that's magic, and that's a team that continues to make the right call in Detroit. And they may not make it on the time frame that a lot of us are happy with, or the timetable, but they do keep making them. So I wouldn't be
Right.
surprised whatsoever.
Yeah. Shout out Brad Holmes, man. I think he's my favorite exec. I think so, man. He's a great dude, and he
It seems
knows.
like a good hang.
Yeah, he does, right? He's down in the locker room, right? A lot of
Yeah.
these other GMs are stuffy. They're up in the box. They're
Mhm.
like, you're fired, but
Yeah.
like he's down there, like definitely crushing beers and stuff in the locker room.
Cutting
So
it up with Martha Ford on the sidelines, just having a good time.
yeah, he's a man, dude. Shout out Brad Holmes. All right, let's get into a little process here, Chuck. I've been basically asking my guests. I say, okay, we have a lot of serious fantasy gamers here. I see Wendy in the chat, dude. Like,
Mhm.
Johnson Bronson, the guys that they don't just play like one hometown league a year. They're in
Mhm.
Dynasty, they're in Best Ball, they're doing industry charity leagues and
Sure.
stuff. So I've been asking my guests, like, what's something in Dynasty that you feel gives you? Well, first and foremost, I got to ask, what's your calendar like? Because not
Mhm.
everybody's on the same page right now. Like, some people have been looking
Yeah.
at prospects all year. Some people are like myself are looking at free agency and then they do prospects. Some people like
Mhm.
Dave Kluge are just like, climbing mountains, enjoying, like their time out. Like he literally
Yeah.
was like, I'm just chilling right now. So like,
Snapshot in McDonald's from the top of a peak. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
right. That's literally what he's been doing. So it's like, he's hanging out with his dog, which is
Yeah.
cool. I mean, like you take this time off if you want. So like, what's your calendar like? Super Bowl ends. Like,
Yeah.
what gets you back to redraft season?
So I try to like take all the negative energy that feels so in the moment of the regular season, because you're just like percentage wise, you're not winning all your leagues. Matter of fact,
Yeah.
you're probably losing most of them. So I try to like Happy Gilmore, like Kevin Nealon, like harness energy block bad, like all of January and just get it out of my system. And then I just roll right into startups. This is my favorite time to do it because I feel very confident about the people that I follow college football wise who are doing a lot of this scouting work. So a lot of people turn the page from redraft to dynasty come start of the new year. I already feel like a lot of that work has been, integrated into my subconscious. So I'm looking at these guys already feeling like there's nothing more that can happen from now until the combine to change how I'm going to feel about anybody. I don't need to do any more scouting, any more work. I just feel ready to hit the ground running.
So in your startups, then I have to ask, this is an important question for anybody
Mhm.
looking to do a startup. And if anyone is looking to do a startup, I will say this: go over to myffpc.com,
Mhm.
use promo code Coop. They'll give you $25 when you deposit $35 or more. You can do a startup draft now, or you can pick up an orphan. Both equally fun. I know, Chuck,
Mhm.
you're into the startup game, but obviously if
Mhm.
you pick up an orphan team, which is a team somebody's given up, then you can
Mhm.
keep all the good parts and trade all the bad parts.
Yep.
It's really fun. But so
Exhilarating.
if you're looking to do a startup like Chuck's talking about, where you start a dynasty league from scratch and
Mhm.
pick all the guys you want, go over to myffpc.com, use promo code Coop, or look at that, dude, Matt Deutsch with the QR code and
Mhm.
Chuck with the alley oop. Let's go, dude. How's that for
Got you.
marketing, baby? Yeah, go get set up over there. But yeah. So what I wanted to ask is, when you do a startup at this time of year, there's kind of
Mhm.
two ways to handle the rookies. Some people put them right in there, right?
Yeah.
They just put the rookies, like you can just draft Marvin Harrison Jr.
Mhm.
Some people put the picks in there. And whether you like put the kickers in there and you pick a kicker and that represents
Yeah.
pick 101, do you like having the picks in there or the players in there if you're doing them now?
So I just did 3 in a row over the course of the last month. One of all 3 different versions that you just did, and that wasn't on purpose. It was actually just coincidental. And I found that the rookies being in the draft pool, name by name, was my favorite by far. Something about it, being able to evaluate them, not having to worry about kicking a decision down the line, being able to kind of compare my team in real time, just felt like the move. I don't really think there is a bad way to do it, but something about seeing kickers on the draft board to represent somebody just pisses me off.
I don't
And
like
so
it.
maybe that was the least amount of favor from mine.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, dude. Like, if I'm gonna do a startup now, personally, and people don't like this.
Mhm.
You got to decide who you are too. And
Sure.
I've been telling people
Know thy
that
league.
know your league too, because like me, I like to do free agency and then do the draft
Mhm.
and then do my stuff. So I would do a startup like right after the NFL draft. That's what I
Mhm.
like doing them. But I've been telling people out here that are the other way, where they're like, they do all this film, they do all this
Mhm.
stuff, but then they don't play Devi. They don't do
Mhm.
startups. They just do rookie drafts after the NFL draft in May. I'm like, you know how easy it is for me to catch up to the information you have at that point?
Yeah.
I'm like, to really take advantage, go and do like a campus to Canton or do a
Mhm.
startup right now, So take advantage of it. Think about what your skill sets are.
You already
So
have the underlying thought process and evaluation skills built into your fantasy brain. You just
right.
have to find other outlets of doing it, which is the things that you just described.
Exactly. And take advantage. Like some people, they spend all this time doing all this stuff just to like send one tweet out to be first on a guy. It's like do some Devi leagues, do some
Yeah.
draft challenges, like the draft
Mhm.
prediction stuff. Like
Yep.
we're gonna do more of that. I think that's
Mhm.
what I want more of. It's like we everyone sends out like a mock draft. Like let's have a competition, right?
Yeah.
Like I want to
I
know
like
who's
it.
gonna, what? Let's hit some rounds, hit some something. So somebody come up with
Yeah.
something for that. Where to use your analytical football brain right now. Question
Okay.
Mile High Luke put in
Mhm.
earlier. He picked up an orphan team, single QB, FFPC Dynasty League. He's got the 103, 106, 203, 204. So it sounds
Mhm.
like this person they came in third to last, and they also made a trade at some point. He's got Mahomes, Gibbs, Puka as the core. In talks to get the 101 by moving Gibbs and 106. And this is a single QB league. So imagine you be targeting Marvin Harrison Jr. Do you think Marvin Harrison Jr. is worth Gibbs in 106?
This is crazy that this person orphaned this team. What did their pilot get picked up by like NBC? What is going on?
Yeah,
This
for
person doesn't
real.
have time to manage his team. That's
They
a
hit they
bounty
hit
for
on
him.
some great players. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't feel this is going to sound a little counterintuitive because I'm not a big RB guy, but I do understand the importance of having these guys that can move differently. And Gibbs is just one of those guys. And the way that wide receiver prospects are flooding the league, like I know that theoretically a Marvin Harrison Jr. doesn't come in the league that often, but that doesn't mean that you aren't going to be able to find guys that are going to be able to give you the production to make up the difference between what Gibbs and another player might not be able to do. So I feel a little better about standing pat with everything that he has here.
Yeah, and I'm hearing a lot of good stuff about Malik Neighbors too. Like you might even be able to like talk to the 102 guy and see if you can trade like 103 and 204 or something else, like something less valuable. And especially when you pick up an orphan, your only 3 players aren't Gibbs, Mahomes, and Puka. Start looking at the guys you don't like and trade those guys away because we like those guys. Trade away all the guys you don't like. It's the most fun.
It definitely, especially with this draft in particular, from what I can feel, it's just you're going to be able to pull away guys you feel more confident about in these first 20 picks than a lot of the previous drafts that we've had.
Yeah. So Mile High Lou clarifying, he picked it up last year and he hit on Puka and Gibbs. So yeah.
Oh, he wanted to flex on us real quick. Let's
go. That's what dude. You can definitely throw your flexes. Throw your flexes in the chat. We'll put them on the screen.
Please.
That's what's up. Okay. Hit us with one thing here. Hit us with some part of your process that you feel gives you an advantage. And I mean, you already just kind of laid out that like you like doing startups now because you think you're plugged into rookies. I mean, that's already one good tip. What else you got that like might be able to help our listeners just be better dynasty gamers? Anything, whether it's how you attack trades or types of players you like, players you like to avoid. What do you got?
Well, my biggest piece of advice is I try to play in as many leagues as I can where I think less of everybody else in the league's ability to play fantasy.
That's the best, dude.
And if I end up being humbled by that, it's just going to make me a better player. But also, like I'm not out here trying to prove myself. Like I want to win. I want to have fun. I want the guys that I'm going to get. But
I love that, dude. I actually play in a league with my buddies, like a few of my buddies from home, and I do the most obnoxious thing you could possibly do every year, which is I offer my second round pick straight up for other people's second round picks, and which basically says, I think I'm better at this than you are.
I just did that. Yeah.
It's like the best trash. It's the best trash talk. I actually did have a kid accept it, but then he traded my pick away very quickly. He kind of backed himself in the corner where he had to accept it, right? But it is a funny thing to do.
No, I made a $50 bet with a guy that I'm going to finish ahead of him, and then I traded for his third round pick, like exactly like you're just saying. So I'm doubling down left and right.
It's funny, man. It's funny, yeah. So hey, and the thing is, dude, like looking for ways to make it more enjoyable is what's up. Like in that same league, we have a great rule, not necessarily great, but a very kind of a dangerous rule, which is that if a player on your team gets cut, then you have to send a video of yourself either chugging a beer or finishing a shot or something, or doing a shot to the chat at some point, not at that exact moment. Like if a guy gets cut on Tuesday and you're at work, you don't have to go, immediately shotgun a beer. But like it gets really dicey in August when like cut down day comes, and you see guys in the league looking at it, and if they know a guy's going to get cut, they'll drop him before he gets cut. Yeah,
dude, my BMI would shoot up if that was happening to me right now. I love roster bubble guys.
Oh yeah. It's dangerous, dude. It's dangerous, but it's a lot of fun. So yeah, shout out to.
I really like playing in leagues, and to be serious for a second, I really like playing with first or second year dynasty players because they just do crazy shit.
Crazy.
Their concepts are strange. They don't really understand how to value picks in the future. They think Roschon Johnson is good. There's all kinds of things that are just absolutely wild that happen, and I like wildness.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and this is a point that I've been trying to make is that and it happens all the time to us, especially that are, Fantasy Alarm members and guys like you and I that are, do this for work and we're doing all the time, is that we in our minds think everybody else cares as much as we do. And we think that they're playing on this level and we think that they're plugged in. The reality is that if you're Herms or Toronto Dave or Joe and you're hanging out with us at 1:30 on, on Wednesday,
supposed to be working right now,
February 21st, literally the most like there's nothing right now. The
combine couldn't be further removed from the.
Could be further removed. If you're hanging out with us right now, then you are thinking about football more than 97% of people out there, right? So like you have to remember that you're more plugged in than everybody else, and not limit your trades. right? Like send some trades that are a little crazy or whatever, and let them correct you. Let them come back to you and say, that's not, let them like that. That's not a good trade.
How
And then
dare
you say,
you? Yeah, I
yeah,
get a lot of
exactly.
how dare yous.
And that's good though, because they come back and then you say, okay, well, let's work it out. You know what I mean? Like you ideally you have trades that help both teams, but at the end of the day, like, if they think it's a good trade, then there you go. Let them do it. Let people never stop your enemy from making a mistake.
It is an unexplored aspect of the game, or underexplored aspect of the game. Trade talks can be annoying, but they're like such a necessary evil for expanding your abilities to even think about what other people are into, what they'll say yes to.
I do a lot of evil stuff, dude. Like I will.
You got a Marcus Smart jersey behind you. Of course you do.
That's right, dude. One of my favorite Marcus Smart moves in fantasy football in Dynasty is I'll look at your roster, for instance, right? And we both have 20 players, let's say, right? And I'll look at a player on your team that I want, and I'll look at the worst player on your team, and if I want that player too, I'll offer a 2-for-1 deal for the player I want, right? And then the trade probably is in your favor, and you'll say, okay, let's do the trade. And then right before we do the trade, I'll say, oh, by the way, since you need to drop somebody to take 2 guys on, who's the worst guy on your team? Can we just throw him in? And then I get that other guy too. Now it's a 2-for-2 trade. When all along I was planning on that. So little weasel moves like that. But
and you know what's so great about that is that people do that and don't even realize they're doing that. That is a subconsciously built-in part of people's moves, and you're the devil that knows.
Right, and I have people sometimes turn around and it blows up the entire trade because they realize they need to drop a player they like to do the trade. So, but still, it's like I'd rather not try and fish that guy off the wire if I could just get him thrown in on a trade. But anyway, enough about weasel trade moves. Let's get into some debates on some actual players that could potentially help some people go for guys. I got to ask you though first. Everybody kind of has a format that lives in their mind. Like some people just play like single QB, full PPR. Some people are playing super flex, tight end premium. Like when I ask you immediately about a player, what format do you like defer to?
Well, as like a child of the steroid era, I just want formats that juice the stats as much as humanly possible. So I'm a half PPR guy, but give me 50-yard touchdown bonuses. Give me tight end premium plus. Give me first down rushes. Give me first down receptions. I need super flex. We can't have a dynasty league where 2/3 of the guys that provide us with the most content are just sitting on the bench most weeks. It just doesn't do it for me. I need all of that.
Right. Yeah. Let's go, dude. Geek Mill in the chat. Dude, shout out to the Twitch gang popping in
live right now.
It's been a minute since we got to get Twitch glasses out for the Twitch gang, baby. Twitch, we're missing you guys. All season long they're hanging in because they're looking for the waiver wire advice. But the Twitch gang,
your jersey's going to be retired on Twitch at some point here in the near future.
I'm saying, dude, Bush 1G, shout out, brother. I'm not sure if that's a Kyle Busch reference or whatever it is, dude. Kyle Busch couldn't get out of his own way this week at Daytona. Anheuser, whatever it is, if your name's Bush, whatever. We thanks for popping in, dude. Twitch gang in the house, baby. And Geek Mill, dude, always a favorite of mine, dude. Thank you guys for popping in, hanging out with us. Wendy, Angie, what's up, everybody? All right, let's get to some dynasty debates. This is what we've been doing in this section. Is I've got some guys. There's guys I know you like. There's guys I know you don't like. So I want to get out of you an explanation of like why you're taking this player over similarly ranked guys. We kind of put the screws to Kluge and a few, like I pulled up, I like monitor people's tweets and stuff. Like I looked at Jacob Sanderson's tweets and he's like came out with some what do you say?
This could be dicey.
That's what I'm saying. He came out with some controversial QB rankings. So I was basically like, I use this segment to be like, hey, why do you hate Tua? Right? Just like I put like Tua up against like Geno Smith, where I knew he had Geno ahead, which is controversial, and he had the answer, and he had an answer, which is great.
You got to be dialed in if you're bringing that kind of investigative journalism to 1:30 Wednesday chat.
That's right, too. So I look around and I'm like, let's see what he's got going on here. So I'll, with some of these, you're gonna know why I'm doing it. For instance, let's do the first one. We'll do one in each position. Quarterback. I know you're a Justin Herbert guy, so. Let me put Justin Herbert up against a similarly ranked, similarly aged guy. And I already asked Kluge. I did Herbert versus Joe Burrow, and he was basically like, "I'll take either," which is a good answer, but it also is terrible content. So I was like, "Will
Next.
you?" I was like,
Yeah.
that is the right answer. Like, I'll take either one, but like, we're trying to have fun here. Can you just
Yeah.
not say I don't care, please, on the show?
Yes. I
Shout
deal
out,
with enough
please.
of that with my wife trying to figure out dinner, not to be
Right,
cliche.
I don't care. Right, yeah, exactly. It's like Mexican or whatever. It's like I don't care. So I'm gonna give you guys two similarly aged, similarly ranked, but different flavors of guys. Justin Herbert or Kyler Murray in your dynasty league.
Now that's awesome because you're talking about two guys that are viewed very differently, but are probably exactly the same in terms of their perception from the public, right?
Right.
They get hampered for reasons that might be more NFL related than they are fantasy related. Two ultra talented guys that are cornerstones of their franchise. I like Justin Herbert because I just think that he gives you the next 10 years of consistent production, ideally, as opposed to maybe a strong 5-year window from Kyler and then maybe a diminished 3-year window after that. I love the directions that both teams are going. I just know that the quarterback is going to produce in the Harbaugh system. Still, I really like Drew Petzing and what he did last year with the Cardinals coming over from Cleveland.
Right.
And they were working mainly with, backups, rookies, replacement level players. But they still looked feisty. They all took the bus there. They had the fire in their belly. They were putting some stuff together.
Yeah, I will say with these guys, the to your point about like the NFL stuff being the problem, if you sort all quarterbacks all time by PPR points per game, these guys are like QB 5 and 6.
Let's go.
Yeah, I think Kyler Murray might be 4. Right, it's just like they're good. You know what I mean? Like they're good for fantasy, and you're right. I think it's a lot of off the field stuff. And the question you asked, the point you made, which is a great one, is that when you historically look at running quarterbacks, not just mobile, but running quarterbacks, there's a huge fall off where they have to change the way they play by age 30 or so. The best running quarterbacks after the age of 30 is basically Michael Vick after he got out of jail, right?
Yeah.
That 1 year. And then the other one is Cam Newton with the Patriots when he had 12 rushing touchdowns. Yeah, I'm
one
not
of the
even
most
kidding.
slept on performances of all time.
Yeah, he had 12 rushing touchdowns, right? But he was 31. Like Cam Newton, we think he's old. He's like 34 right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like 33, 34. As proven by Google a couple minutes ago. So with Kyler Murray, the upside is there, but you have to realize he needs to change the way he plays at a certain point where Justin Herbert can just be Justin Herbert forever and be good until, the way it goes these days, until he's 40, right? That's a new rule. If you're any good, you play until you're 38.
Yeah. I'd like to see a few less commercials that really killed him last year. The Subway and the SoFi, or just he doesn't have the acting coach yet and he's all over the screen. That kind of does diminish his value slightly for me.
They got to get him into something funny. That's the thing you got to, and maybe he doesn't have it in him, but that changes everything. A good funny commercial.
If he was like stoic, like a Baker Mayfield, not stoic, but like if they played him as the straight man in a funny commercial, I could see that working.
That could work. Yeah. The commercials got to be funnier though. You can't just be like a guy like, yeah, dude, I like sandwiches. It's like that. Everyone likes sandwiches. Everyone can do that.
They just have him taking like bootlegs and like throwing SoFi cards and stuff. Like, no, get him Rashee from the league. Get them in a commercial together.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. So I'm in on that. All right. Running back. Let me hit you. I'm going to go with two backs here, similar age, that both could be starting for their team next year. Questions with both of them, though. They're definitely not high-end prospects, but have flashed a bit. So I'm going to go with Roschon Johnson from the Bears and Keaton Mitchell, who kind of popped with the Ravens there. So if you had to pick one of these puppies, Keaton Mitchell or Roschon Johnson?
So this is another one where when I was talking about Gibbs in the previous segment and how he moves differently, that's how I feel about Mitchell. I have him in that group of guys with like A-Chain, where it's just like, I'm not really ever going to have to worry about the circumstances for this guy. I know when he has the ball in his hands, he's going to be able to produce. Is he going to be able to produce a high volume of touches at a high level? Possibly not, but he's also young, so I don't know what kind of workload he can carry. And probably the best thing for his value, this is going to sound so ridiculous, but like kind of got hurt. We didn't get to see a ton of them. So they're still kind of like, if you believe, you can continue to capitalize on that belief without the prices being overinflated.
It's so true though. Like the unknown, right, is better than it's like the way I rank it is known good, right? Unknown and then known bad, right?
Yeah.
So it's like just the fact that he's unknown is better than unknown
Just a
bad.
little bit. That's how we capitalize on these things. And you compare that too with somebody like I made a Roschon Johnson joke earlier, and like I don't mean to hammer the guy, but he just did not look fantastic for me. And all I keep hearing about him was that he backed up Bijan at Texas. If you go
Right.
on Sleeper's page, Sleeper's they have the little anecdotes and the season outlooks for all of the players, right? And Roschon Johnson's is, if nothing else, his special teams acumen should allow him to stay on the roster and develop. That is the player.
That's terrible, dude. Right, and that's the thing is that he beat out Alexander Madison. Congratulations, right, dude? Like you beat out player with the most presidential name, but like there's no guarantee that either one of those guys is the long term answer, right? They could get vaporized like this, and same with Keaton Mitchell. The thing with Keaton Mitchell that I saw that and again, I don't have to answer this because I'm putting you on the spot, so
Please.
I can sit here and say that I like them both if I want to. But one thing I did like from Keaton Mitchell is you saw him getting like running legitimate routes, like real routes. Like Derrick Henry, when he has a reception for 50 yards, it's not a 50-yard bomb. It's usually a screen, right? Like he's just not running real routes. Keaton Mitchell was getting end zone targets from like the 35, right? Which is you see guy like Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones is running wheel routes. He's running
downfield.
Yeah, he's running posts, dude. You know what I mean? Like he's running like he lines up wide receiver and runs straight fades at times. Aaron Jones does, and that has me very excited for Breece Hall, to be honest, because Aaron Rodgers loves doing that, like motion guys out, send them.
Yes.
So
Adding explosive elements to offenses that are lacking that historically. That's what these guys are capable of doing.
Keaton Mitchell, one of the last couple games he had one play that he broke off, huge play, got called back on holding. Then he had a end zone target where he was open and the safety just tackled him, which great play for the team. They scored a touchdown, but that doesn't go in the book as a 50, it was like a 35-yard touchdown reception that he should have had. It's like the numbers don't necessarily reflect some of the exciting plays he was making. So I kind of do like both guys, but I'm with you with Mitchell, man. I think he has a cleaner path to being the top guy there. Real quick before we move to the next one, J.K. Dobbins, dude, like sad story, but somewhere in there's a guy that's very explosive. No.
So yeah, it's difficult because I think that we were, and this has been said, but I do believe it. We were him staying healthy season away from him probably being the RB3 overall, maybe the RB full 5, something like that.
I know. I hope he comes back healthy, and I hope a team takes a stab on him, like I don't know, like the Eagles or something, where they've been doing that kind of reclamation projects.
We're in the new era where they can with the right time frame, with the right medical staff. Now, is Baltimore that staff? I don't know. With the right people around him, their careers can be resurrected in one way or another.
Right.
That's just how it goes.
Yeah, take some stab. Somebody take a stab on him. I want to see it.
Deserving. I agree.
Yeah, it'd be, you know what, just to see, because I've seen it, man. I've seen that guy have some crazy runs, 50, 60-yard runs. So shout out J.K. Dobbins. Hopefully he comes back, dude. Just bad luck, man. He's like the Sterling Shepard of running backs, right?
Oh God, that's Jesus. I hope not.
He's like 2 more major injuries away. Sterling Shepard
he's got the belt for sure.
I just thought of this just now, but have you seen the Scott Sterling video where he keeps getting hit? Scott Sterling Shepard, dude. That's actually borderline mean, but whatever.
That hits too close to home, sadly.
He's rich. All right. So let's do wide receivers while we're talking wide receivers. All right, Sterling Shepard versus no. Let me give you one. Now I know that you've been this was your top wide receiver last year. So I'm gonna make you talk about I'm gonna make you stick with your guns, or maybe not. I don't know. I never know how people are going to react to this. So I know you do like Jaxon Smith-Njigba.
I do. I feel very good about him. So go ahead.
All right. So he was the first wide receiver drafted. I had him ranked 1, right? A lot of people did. And then there were also 3 other first-round wide receivers that most people in some capacity had towards the top, if not at the top. And of course, the second-round wide receiver, Rashee Rice, comes out and has an incredible year. And now he's playing with Patrick Mahomes. So for you, do you stick with the guns of, okay, this was the best guy and he's going to be the best guy? Or do you turn around and say, well, you know what? I know none of us had Rashee Rice as 1, but based on what we saw, now we got to, we got to pitchfork him over the top.
Sure.
So for you, Rashee Rice versus JSN, I feel like that'd be a tough one for you. So that's why I picked it for you.
And you can't really, if somebody were to make an argument either way, you can't really go no. There's so much to like about both of them from a talent standpoint to a situational standpoint. I was just really encouraged. This is Dynasty, right? If we're talking we get in a redraft, I'm probably smashing Rashee right now. Before Mike Evans or Diggs traded to KC, I'm probably smashing Rashee Rice well before Jaxon Smith-Njigba. But I mean, the guy was still able to command 93 targets last year, despite I think maybe he had 1 or 2 games playing over 70% of the snaps. Tyler Lockett's still just holding on to that position, and you know what? Tyler Lockett's earned it. I'm not gonna fuss over it. But Rice did what he did, admittedly well, with what a lot of people are calling the single worst wide receiver core in the history of, let's say, playoff team, maybe. Yeah. So there's just a lot of uncertainty there. Is that going to end up being addition by subtraction for him, or is he going to be a mainstay of the offense? I'm not sure. I do really like the direction Seattle's going. I like the Grubbs hire at OC. I still like Geno. I trust the franchise to have a succession plan. And I just know that he's the next young buck stepping up.
Yeah. I'll give you my take on it. I have Rashee Rice ahead now because Rashee Rice is already doing it at a high level, and he's got the full job. And also, we quietly didn't even see the best ability of Rashee Rice, which is contested catches. He led all rookies rookies before the draft in college in contested catches, and they didn't really give him a lot of those opportunities. So I think he can be wheels up. But I'm with you on JSN that I'm definitely not trading him where I have him, because I think he's going to be like, he's just got to go the Chris Godwin trajectory. Godwin was stuck behind Mike Evans is DK Metcalf, and
perpetual breakout.
Right. And Tyler Lockett is Deshaun Jackson, who was there when Godwin was a rookie. And then, a couple of years, Godwin kind of, he showed he could get it done. He got to like 800 yards, I think it's the second year. And then when D-Jax and Adam Humphries were gone and he was a full every down player, what do you have, like 1,400 yards? It was
he was wide receiver 2 or Michael Thomas is the only thing that overshadowed him that year.
That's what I'm saying. So Michael Thomas set the record for most thinking dunk targets there's ever been. Most
angriest targets ever. Yeah.
Angriest slants there's ever been. Most angry tweets there's ever been.
Something that I really liked that I read about Rice, and this was leading up to the Super Bowl, was that he came into the season, and as the season progressed, he basically changed his play style to, Patrick, tell me what you want me to do, and I'm going to do it. Because that's what Travis Kelce did, and that ended up just the instant production that he started having when he started doing that, and how they incorporated him. I mean, I don't see how you could possibly make a strong argument against him.
That's such a good idea. You know who did the opposite of that?
Please.
Equanimous St. Brown, when he showed up to the Packers, told them that he doesn't play special teams and he doesn't stretch, and basically said that his dad was which his dad was a Mr. Universe as a bodybuilder, and that he is all set with the strength and conditioning stuff, and that did not go really well for Equanimous.
To be fair, he just had a storied history of success and name. Unbelievable.
So definitely, kids out there, go the Matthew Slater route. Show up and say, whatever you need me to do, I'll do it. And that's why Matthew Slater played for 16 years. And that's why Martavis Bryant played for like 45 minutes, right? So show up and for real. Show up and do whatever. Do it. He's not actually dead, folks, right?
No, he's not. I just, all right.
Yeah, in fantasy football, he is. Yeah, I just wanted to double check on that. Yeah, but RIP Martavis Bryant, but do whatever they want you to do. And that's going to be a lot easier for you because Patrick Mahomes isn't going anywhere. Everybody else are the people that have to fight for the jobs. So if he likes you, then you're going to have a job for a long time.
Couldn't ask for a better place to be given the freedom to do the things that they're allowed to do there. That's where you want your career to be.
Right. Bingo. So
So JSN is my answer.
I mean, I did pick a very difficult one.
You're catching touchdowns from Drew Lock. You're my guy. And
again, I like them both. This last one I picked, I'm obviously definitely going to be on your side for this one.
Let's go. That was a homer pick for sure.
I picked one for tight end because I keep tabs on who has been on the right side of history, the right side of history, and who hasn't. Like you, Cho, Kluge, Jacob Sanderson. It sounds a lot like I pick my guests based on whether or not they like Evan Engram. based on whether or not
the vetting here is strong.
I'm giving away my hand in that the only people are allowed in the show are people that have liked Evan Engram from the start. I know you've stayed with us, man. You've been a truther through the difficult times, right through the mean. I lost a lot. I don't think I have any Giants fan followers left. I don't think I do.
Well, they're all busy with Wesley. What's the guy's name? The account that keeps tweeting all the nonsense.
Oh my God, that guy! Like those, they're the Jets and Giants podcasters are so mean. And if they catch you saying anything that they think is disrespect, they will blow you up. Yeah, Herms, you've been on the show. We'll get you back on though for sure.
Yeah,
you
Wesley
guys are in.
Steinberg, which is a guy who is basically a fake troll account that has somehow gathered 13,500 followers, and he tweets out stuff like there's pressure on owners to bring back Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley at new max contract deals, like just making stuff up and getting.
That's the best, dude. I gotta check on that. That's a great account. Like, dude, just the other day I get in an argument on Reddit where people are like, Evan Engram is the reason the Giant, like the Giants are bad. Like the Giants didn't. The Giants haven't won the division in over a decade because of Evan Engram. Right? The Giants won 4 games in 2021 because Engram dropped 4 passes. Is that what we're trying to say? Like, eat it.
It's just bad timing. Poor guy.
Anyway, let's get to the competition. Yeah. So I went in there and I actually put myself on the clock on this one, and I said, okay, who's the highest ranked tight end that I would take Evan Engram over? And I came with the name George Kittle. So now I'm going to put you on the clock. And I mean, would you rather, straight up, if you're doing a startup today, would you take Evan Engram or would you take George Kittle?
I would take Evan Engram. Yes. And that's I know that sounds crazy to think. And like a lot of times people will think they take that as a diss towards George Kittle. But in reality, you couldn't not ask for a better situation for what Evan Engram is and where he is. The Jaguars have some dicey moves to make coming into the year. Potentially, do they want to give up a second-round pick for Calvin Ridley? If not, Evan Engram, who just came off of almost career highs in almost everything.
Except touchdowns.
But he comes back to be the guy for a team in a win-now mode. Everybody's kind of on the hot seat there a little bit. So, and guys with his physical skill set, they have those extended primes. He's turning 30 this year coming up, but for him to continue this production 31, 32, absolutely within reason. George Kittle, I don't know if I can say the same.
The problem with George Kittle is he's like the opposite of the Kyler Murray situation, where with Kyler Murray, people talk about the real NFL stuff and they talk about the attitude stuff, whereas George Kittle's the opposite. Everybody loves George Kittle, right? And no one thinks that George Kittle's fan favorite, team's good, and no one thinks he's bad. That's the thing. Like, even like no one thinks he's actually bad at playing tight end. The problem is the way he plays and the way the offense operates is not super conducive to PPR formats. So
no, that's not
right. It's like I'm sitting here and I'm like he'll go out and have 3 catches for 3 touchdowns against the Cowboys, right? And it's like, okay, but he got 3 targets. It's like, what the heck? And then there are some games where like Christian McCaffrey, like the Cardinals game, Christian McCaffrey scores 3 touchdowns, so Kittle gets 1 target and he's happy about it because he doesn't care, right? So it's like, I don't know. There are arguments to be made in like a best ball, maybe, or like a longest touchdown league, right? For George Kittle.
Points per block.
Right. Points for great block. Yeah. But if it's any sort of PPR, especially tight end premium, Evan Engram's to the 4th most receptions of any player in the entire league.
That's a lot. That's a lot. And what do you want? What else do you want?
19 more than the next highest tight end. So and a big part of that is screens. And those are automatic catches. Like people will say like, oh, screens, it's cheap. That's why he doesn't have the touchdowns. I'm like, yeah, give me as many cheap targets as you can. Can we just, you know what I mean? Like pin the ball to his chest if you have to, as long as I get a point in fantasy football. So like, yeah, I don't care. Like give me screens. So yeah, for me, it's Engram over Kittle. He's also younger and he also isn't dealing with, I mean, maybe if Ayuk shoots his way out of town, we'll have to reassess this again.
That's the first thing that literally is on my mind is, you know, what does this offense look like in 2024?
Yeah, if Ayuk shoots his way out of town and they don't replace Ayuk with anything special, you know, they replace him with Gabe Davis, which would be like it's like that Simpsons 3-headed dragon or like whatever
out in the universe right now.
Just microwaved Brandon Ayuk, which is Gabe Davis, dude. You know, Costco brand.
They had their Marquise Goodwin phase. They went through it.
Marquise Goodwin, dude. Shout out legitimate Olympian.
Olympic sprinter, right? Yeah.
Star, right?
Yeah,
But not the best football player though. So what are you gonna do? But yeah, I don't know, man. I think I'm in on Engram unless something crazy happens with the Jaguars, dude. He's so locked in. He's so locked in. Tight end eligible. Basically wide receiver. Like the best comparable player for him when you look at like if you took his season this year and his size and his 40 time, the best comparable player for him is like Andre Johnson.
I heard he was pretty good.
He's like 6'3", right? Like I was looking through other tight ends, and there's no tight ends that run a 4.42. There's none. Not even Kyle Pitts. So to find a guy who's 6'3", 235 that runs a 4.42, I'm not even kidding. The best comps I could find in the database I was looking through was like Demaryius Thomas, rest in peace. But like Demaryius, I mean, like that's legitimately what we're talking about. Demaryius Thomas, Andre Johnson, Chase Claypool.
Oh, beast, legends, trailblazers.
I should have left it with the two names I said, but I mean, like size and speed comparisons, it technically is like right there, right?
Here's an interesting divide, and this is just a simpleton stat, but it is one, right? George Kittle had only 4 games last year when this offense was working as efficient as it ever has and maybe ever will, with more than 5 targets. Evan Engram only had 1 game with 5 or less targets.
Hey, folks at home, well, I know we got to jump off. Go look at those games that Kittle had those targets and check and see if Brandon Ayuk or Deebo Samuel were out for those games.
Ooh, spicy time.
I'll tell you what, none of those 5 target games, I don't think they're going to be all playing for those. So, but that's it for us, baby. Chuck, why don't you let everybody know what you got going on this offseason, what the game plan is, when we're going to break off from all this stuff and start our own show that's just us, like what's the plan?
When we start our lifestyle brand, our wellness network, our fantasy takeover.
Nothing to do with football at all.
We're pivoting. This is just a launch point for most of us, really, right? Who could talk about fantasy all day other than these guys?
Yeah, we'll talk about like shoes and like watches and just dude stuff,
Yeah, but philosophy, barbecuing, anything really.
Yeah, I'm saying I'm available, but let me know what you have going on football wise.
Sure. I'll be bringing the This Guy Sucks podcast back around March. I'm getting my, like I said, decompressing right now. So we'll have some people on. We'll be getting blind dates. I've got a few new formats I'm looking forward to introducing. We'll have you on and we'll have some live bourbon as we talk some nonsense. And, we'll just be, we'll be keeping it light as always.
Yeah, I love it, man. Make sure you follow Chuck over on Twitter. Make sure you go check that out. Make sure you're set up at FFPC. Use promo code Coop. They'll give you $25 when you deposit 35 or more. Not only do they have the Dynasty startups, not only do they have the orphans, but if you're more of a redraft player, they already have the best balls. The early best ball contests are up there now. You can win thousands of dollars based on last I checked. I think there's $77 to $2,500 entries, but like some of the ones you can go in that's your never too early best balls, $25,000 and $10,000 prizes over there. Use promo code Coop. They'll give you $25 when you deposit 35 or more. Big prizes, and they have like slow drafts or 30-second clock. Do whatever you want. So go get that. Go get set up. Get going over there. That's it for us. Thank you guys for joining us in the chat. Thank you, Chuck, for joining us in the show. Thank you, Matt Deutsch behind the glass. Thank you, FFPC. Thank you, Fantasy Alarm. We are out of here. Thank you, Tony Romo. Love y'all. Bye.